let's continue with this idea. Adam, the first individual, was the embodiment, in a literal sense, of 613 rays that represent, and the sparks of those rays that represent all of the divine souls, actually all of the Jewish souls, until the end of time. He embodied them. Just like we individually embody it, we embody all of them in the Jewish soul today. Well, we'll get back to that. Adam embodied not just on an individual level, but on a collective level, all of the divine souls of divine souls to come. Adam, though, sinned, and because he sinned, he failed to be the proper conduit of these Jewish souls. It came then to Jacob. Jacob then became the embodiment thereafter of all of the Jewish souls that would ever come to be. 613 general rays of divine light that he's an embodiment, and as we said, as each commandment, biblical commandment in the oral Torah, is expressed in numerous details, so each soul is also then broken down, or each commandment, each soul is broken down from 613 to innumerable amount of souls that he is an embodiment of. And this is the idea that it says in the Talmud. The Talmud says that the consummate beauty of Jacob resembles the consummate beauty of Adam, the first man. What does beauty mean over here? That he comprises all of the Jewish souls, as Adam did before the sin, lost that, and was rectified by Jacob, as the Zohar explains, afterwards. So he becomes now the embodiment of all Jewish souls. And we see that also, so to speak, in the simple meaning that he is the father of 12 sons that become the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, not only is he the embodiment of all the souls of the Jewish people, but moreover, he's also the vehicle for Torah. Because Torah is called the concept of Adam, as this verse says, Hatera Adam. This is the law, this is the Torah, Adam. Meaning, Adam, and in the figurative sense, is the embodiment of the Torah. So as Adam was the embodiment of the Torah, but through the sin, now it needs to be carried on through Jacob, that he becomes the embodiment of Torah. And this is so this is Israel, Jacob, the patriarch, that he is two things. He is the embodiment of all Jewish souls, and he's the embodiment of Torah. Both are connected. How? Because both are 613. 613 primary lights, radiation of divine light that's embodied in his soul, that represents 613 commandments, the sparks of which, of that light, the sparks of that light, which is all of the details of the commandment, which is endless. And at the same time, that 613 and the sparks of that 613 represent all of the Jewish souls, henceforth, from that he's the embodiment of. And this is the meaning, as we explained asked in the first class, that that Jacob, he called to God, Kael, God of Israel. So Kael denotes the attribute of kindness, chesed. And what Jacob is asking of God, that God, through his kindness, which kindness means to reveal something that's a part of me and to connect it to another. That's what kindness is. I have something to share with another. So he's asking God, communicate the hidden light that you have, reveal it. That radiation of the Ein Sof light of God that's clothed and expresses itself in 613 commandments, bring it from concealment to manifestation, that it should be able to illuminate our soul. And this is what he's asking. Kael, God, that you have the light, Yo'ir Lanu, that you should illuminate our soul. And this is what Yaakov is asking. In other words, that our soul that is comprised of 613 components, just because it's comprised with it doesn't mean it's being illuminated. Doesn't mean that we're experiencing it. Doesn't mean we're connecting to it. So he's asking Jacob, Yaakov, as being the embodiment of all Jewish souls, he's asking that we should be able to connect, to experience, to have revealed in our soul that connection to God. The infinite light of God that should shine upon our souls. As the Alter Rebbe says, like upright people. Upright meaning someone who uses the mind to feed the heart, right? That when you engage in Torah mitzvahs, that you should be inspired by it, not just go through the motions, but be inspired by it, be illuminated by it, to give vitality to the Torah mitzvahs that you engage in. And this is what it means to have Ashreinu Matov Chalkenu. How fortunate is that we have a portion of God. What does it mean we have a portion of God? Well, this is the explanation. We have a portion of God that we can be illuminated by, that we can connect to, that we can experience, that can be elevating in a powerful way, using our mind to feed our heart. And when is this specifically so? In a time of prayer. As prayer allows that every mitzvah that we do, that it should climb up the ladder, and that it should be radiate and reveal to us the light of God. This is what Yaakov is asking for each and every single one of us, that we should be able to have this in our lives, this irradiation, this illumination, this part of God, meaning that we can have some kind of connection, experience, some kind of illumination of the soul that is a part of God, the radiation that is connecting us to Him, to God Himself. Okay. Let's unpack some of this and bring it, down. It was a pretty lofty idea over here. So the first point I want to bring out over here is that this whole elaborate explanation about Adam and then Jacob, that he's the embodiment of all souls. First of all, with this we understand the concept of what a Rebbe is. A Rebbe is Rosh B'nai Israel, the head of the Jewish people. It's an acronym. Rosh B'nai Israel, meaning the head of the Jewish people. or Israel, Yeshishim Rubi, Yeshishim, Israel, one second. Yeshishim Riboi Lafit. I forget what the acronym is, but there's, okay, we'll leave that for a moment. Jacob was the embodiment of all Jewish souls. And that's what a Rebbe is, an embodiment of all Jewish souls and connected to all Jewish souls. And he was able to ask of God that not just his soul should be illuminated with the light of God, but all souls henceforth should be illuminated and have an experience of connecting to God. And upright people, we have a head on our shoulders, feet our heart, that we should be aware, contemplate that in the time of prayer in such a manner that we can illuminate our heart and actually feel and be truly connected through that radiation to God himself. This is given to us, and that's what our Rebbe is, that he, gives us, and as Yaakov did that for us. And that's, again, a concept of the Rebbe. But furthermore, is not only is Jacob the embodiment of all the souls thereafter, and that's what a Rebbe is in every generation, the embodiment of the souls of that generation, but we ourselves also have the embodiment of those 613 rays and sparks of souls. Difference is, by a Rebbe, there's a, it's open, it's revealed. And he's asking that we should have it revealed to us too. But it is part and parcel of who we are. So it is inherent to my very soul, having 613 components. So that is, of all souls we're connected, all Jewish souls we're connected to. Furthermore, the 613 also represents the 613 commandments, meaning the will of God. So the commandments of the Torah, 613 rays, and that I have a component in me of 613 aspects of my soul, means the Torah is also illuminating my very soul. The difference is it's concealed, it's hidden. So this is what Jacob prayed to God. God, Kale, have kindness. Kindness means to draw and to give. Give us the experience of Elokei Israel, of what Israel has, Jacob meaning Israel, that he's the embodiment of all these souls that he has the experience of. Give that to all the Jewish souls, that they can have that experience. And when they can have that experience specifically, that connectivity is in time of prayer. So again, we have inherent to us the connection to all other Jewish souls. We have inherent to us the Torah. It's a makeup of my soul's 613 components. So that's an important thing. Many people say, well, Judaism, it's a difficult thing. So many laws, so many details, and it's so difficult. But when you understand that really it's a part and parcel of who you are, and it's not so difficult. It is the makeup of my very soul. Furthermore, when a fellow Jew, can feel very disconnected from, but when you realize that they're part and parcel of your soul, right, so then it's not as difficult to connect. That's a very powerful idea. Any questions, any comments? Let me first see if there's questions here on Facebook, and then we'll go to Clubhouse and Instagram. Okay, yes, I do see a couple of questions over here. Sheila, so we are speaking of the reincarnation of the light then, the rebirth of a continuing living, which I have always believed in. So we're not talking about reincarnation over here, although we do believe in reincarnation, Sheila, absolutely. We're talking about that the soul um, is made up of 613 components, elements, call them, that are radiated by 613 lights of God that are an expression of His divine will, connected to God Himself. That's illuminates our soul. Now, it illuminates our soul. When we do a mitzvah, you put on your tefillin, you give charity, you light your Shabbos candles, right? In that moment, you're being bound up with God. You're one with God in the moment of doing the. But we don't experience that. We don't sense the illumination of our soul, even though we're bound up in one with God. So he's saying over here is that we should be able to have some kind of an experience of that, of some of that radiation, that light that illuminates our soul in that moment that we're bound up with God. We should be able to have some of that. So he says specifically, for us simple people, well, it's not so simple to have during our prayer that illuminating our soul of that connection. That is really happening through all the mitzvahs that we do. But we don't experience, we don't sense it, we're not illuminated, that we're not inspired with that love and awe of God as we might be, as we can be during prayer. So that's not a reincarnation, that's just the light of God that is now illuminating my soul. So I hope that clarifies things a little bit. Okay. Said you, if Adam Jacob is the embodiment of Jewish souls, every Jewish soul has a portion of God. How about non-Jews? Are they excluded? No. Good question. Thank you for the question. No. Lengthy concept, but initially Adam was the embodiment of the Jewish souls, but through the sin, therefore, he becomes actually the embodiment of all souls, not just Jewish. He becomes the embodiment of all souls, and not just Jewish souls. So it's a Kabbalistic idea that is, be quite frank, I'm not perfectly clear on, but he loses that, so to speak. And then Jacob becomes the embodiment of it. So he becomes now, Adam, the embodiment of all souls, of all of humanity. That's really how it comes out. Okay, I hope that's somewhat clear. Trig, since not all 600 laws apply to everyone, how does one make up the laws that they can't be carried out? Oh, excellent question. One of the reasons why we learn Rambam, because when you learn about all the mitzvahs, even the ones that don't apply today, like bringing sacrifices, we don't have an altar to bring sacrifices, but you learn about it, it's like you brought. So we learn Maimonides' teachings, which, by the way, today, Sundays is at 12:15, Monday through Friday at 12:45. Do come and join us in an hour's time on Zoom, 770-770-6085. Do come and join us for that, or at Facebook Chabad ZK. So, excellent question. That's how we can fulfill them. But just to make sure that we have the point over here clear, is we're not talking about the fulfillment of all the mitzvahs, even though our soul is made up of 613 elements that are to be radiated with all the mitzvahs. So yes, absolutely. So through the study of those mitzvahs that we are not incapable to fulfill today, we radiate our soul. But here we're talking about that should be, that God should have kindness on us, that we should experience something of that connection. That's the uniqueness that's coming forth here in this teachings. I hope that clarifies. Excellent question, Trig. Thank you. Curtis, I didn't see it. Did I miss Curtis? Oh, okay. Similar question. Right. So, yes, I think I answered your question, Curtis. I hope that answers it. Davida, when someone breaks one of the 613 commandments, does it affect the 613 limbs physically? Well, everything in the spiritual does reflect itself in the physical. So absolutely, no question about it, that it does reflect itself in the physical. That's why the Rebbe would, when people would ask, for a physical healing, he would often say, to check your tefillin and mezuzahs, or to check your, your kashrus, your kosher, or maybe taras hamishpacha, the laws of family purity. He would, often tell you to do something about a particular mitzvah to look into, right? Why? What's a mitzvah got to do with your physical health? Well, here we learn that our soul is made up of 613 commandments, which reflects our body that's made up of 248 limbs and 365 sinews. So it means that there is a relationship between soul and body. Of course, whatever happens in the soul will reflect itself in the body. That's why the Mizitch Magid said that a small hole in the body, meaning a small something wrong in the body, is a big hole in the soul. It represents a big hole in the soul that we need to fix. Absolutely. Very good. Thank you. Rina Fariba. Okay, I didn't see question marks before. Winston, 613 mitzvahs, 7 Noachide laws. It's actually 7 rabbinical laws equals to 620, which is Kesser crown. That's usually, but that's interesting with the Noachide laws. Yeah, it's the 7 rabbinic laws. All right, John, 600,000 Adam had reflective of Israel. Yes. Okay, that's another way of expressing it. June, if our breath or spirit goes back to God at death, then all must have the breath and the light of God. So when resurrection happens, which body is if they're going to be resurrection? It's going to be, that's a good question. We're going to deal with that in a later, coming up in a later letter. So it's a little off right now, that question. And it's it's engaging. So I'm going to leave that for the moment. Okay, we'll get back to it. All right, I want to now see if on Clubhouse, if anybody has a question or anybody wants to share something, please, now would be a great time. Please share. Jeffrey, please share with us.
Hi, Rabbi.
Good morning.
So I've always had this problem or, understanding, the idea of that, okay, so there's one soul and Jacob inherits and the tribes and, these souls are distributed ad infinitum to the world. And feeling like, oh my gosh, my soul is such a small part of such a small part. And then I was also listening to hear what you're saying about, there's the for example, an infinite number of ideas of this, of observing Shabbat. There's many aspects of that. but there's one little aspect of it that's maybe, gee, it doesn't seem as important. And also thinking about the way you talked about light and radiation, and when I think this is what you were struggling for at the beginning, how light is composed of a prism breaks down light into wavelengths, into all the different colors.
Wave or particles? Oh, that was it. Particles. That's the word I was looking. Particles, okay. Waves and particles. Thank you, Jeff.
Exactly.
I was struggling for that. Yes.
Well, you're more advanced by saying waves and particles, but I was just thinking wavelengths, and there's an infinite number of wavelengths theoretically, right?
Right.
So if you'll bear with me for 1 second to extend the metaphor.
Sure.
I was thinking that, this Jewish space laser that we have, that everybody says. So, a laser is an extremely, extremely narrow, focused wavelength.
Right.
Very, very, fine. I don't know the exact details, but it is so powerful, this focused, amplified wavelength. And it's very small, it's very narrow. So similarly, I'm going to try to say that, my soul is my soul, and it is unique and just as powerful as it can be because it is focused and narrow, similar, in a similar way. So I don't know if I came across.
No, beautiful. Thank you. No, that was actually very beautiful. Thank you. That really, right, where you could feel like, I'm just another wave. I'm just another light. I'm just another particle. I'm just another spark. Big deal. There's so many, and of course, how often does it happen that we just feel we're just a speck in the universe and insignificant? And what you just brought across is beautiful. No, we're not. If we focus that unique light, might be just as might even not even be the complete. It's not even a complete one of the 613s, right? It's only a particle of that. But that when it is focused, it can penetrate. It can create. It can do unbelievable things that we never thought just a small little particle could do. So that's beautiful. Thank you for that. Let me just add to what you just said. So think about it another way, and that is, you can look at the mitzvah of one of the 613 commandments, Zachor es Yom Shabbos. Again, let's use that example to remember Shabbos, right? So that's a very encompassing light, but then there's many particles to that light, many details to that law. And, when you think about it, so how do you observe actually to remember Shabbos is in the very fine details of the law. We just actually learned this in Rambam in learning the laws of Shabbos, that when it is one law, we're not supposed to weigh one mitzvah versus another mitzvah, one value of a fulfillment of a law versus a fulfillment of another. We just come from Parshas Eikev meaning heal, that many things we step upon the law because they're insignificant to us. But the truth is, even the smallest little so-called law that seems to be insignificant is not at all insignificant. It is a particle of the light that it can be, when it's focused, that it can be an extremely powerful razor, light that can create a lot of life and delight and beautiful things in this world. So, and connection, and most importantly, a connection. Yeah. So, just to add to what you expressed, Jeff, it was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Give me one moment over here. Sola, rather. The healing of the soul, it transforms the body from sickness to health, from a Jew to a Samaritan, Is there a tradition of 613 lights radiating from Jacob, or immutable will of God? I'm not clear on the question. Maybe I'm missing something. I have to get back to it. Let me come back to it. Um, Curtis, in Olam Haba, will we be completely illuminated? Meaning, will the complete 630 mitzvahs, or that will be an excellent question? Yes, Olam Haba means, well, actually, in the Gan Eden, after 120 years in this world, where our soul goes to, so there we'll get a mere glimmer of an illumination of what we have learned here and in mitzvahs that we've done here. But when Mashiach will come, we will have the principle of that mitzvah that we fulfilled, not just the mere radiation, but we'll have the principle of it that we will be able to experience in totality in the physical of this world and not just in the spirit of this world. So yes, we will have that then, Curtis. Very good. Thank you. Um, Sola, rather. So I'm not clear on the question that you're asking. Um, so yes, it is through the, how do we heal ourselves? So ultimately, real healing needs to take place in the source of where the wound is. So if we have a physical healing, we need to know that at the same time there's a spiritual hole in the soul that needs to be illuminated or needs to be fixed. So how often do we see that? Even take it on dealing with someone with some um, shalom bayis issues, difficulties in the home, and you know you can deal with it on the surface. On the surface, you get to one level and you accomplish one perhaps um, greater peace that you could bring. But until you really kind of recognize the hole in the soul where why this is happening, why this is really God giving you the challenge in your life that might be a little difficult and challenging, and maybe you're not ready for it, but maybe that's exactly what God gave you in order that you can heal your soul, that what it's lacking. And that's why there isn't peace in the home, not because of the other individual, but because of what you need to fix in your soul. And when you recognize that, wow. And so that's actually an important take home over here, is that in so many relationships that we have, we always point a finger of the difficulty that that person is creating, and not that we are dishonest in thinking that it's only them, it's us too. But when we really recognize that why I have this relationship is because there is something that this relationship has to help me to heal deeper in my soul by being something, someone that maybe that part of my soul is not being illuminated, but that part of that my soul is blocked, and I'm not able to express or to reveal. Um, you know, it, um, Sometimes we can't be there for another person, to be like emotionally supportive, for example, because we weren't emotionally supported when we were younger. And we have a hole in our soul. We don't even recognize it. So therefore, it's hard for us to be emotionally supportive to someone else. But when we recognize that that's something in my soul that needs healing, so I have to now focus on that and to be able to overcome that by being emotionally supportive for someone else. And when I do that, then I can see how that will create a true peace in the home. And where was it coming from? Not because we argued about this and we saw things differently, and no, because this is what I needed to fix in my soul, and it maybe it expressed itself in arguments and this and animosity, and I need this, I didn't get this, I had expectations and so on. Yeah, this is definitely something that can help heal and recognize this. question answered. That's beautiful. Glad. Okay. I think we've answered. In 1 hour, we'll be doing Rambam. Come and join us. And tonight, 6:30, there'll be Torah studies. Same avenue on what's it called? Chabad ZK on Facebook, and in Zoom, it's again the 770. Let me just put that over here. You can come and join. All right, folks. Wishing everybody a good Fach, a good day, a good week. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zuch and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you, Tanya. Thank you for joining.